I don't get angry often. But you mess with my wife, you mess with my kids, that'll do it every time. Donald, you're a sniveling coward, and leave Heidi the hell alone.
That was Ted Cruz going after Donald Trump for retweeting a less than flattering picture of Heidi Cruz next to a nice picture of Melania Trump this week. It sparked a war of words on both sides. It all started after an anti-Trump super PAC used suggestive photographs of Melania, a former model, in ads targeted at Mormons ahead of the Utah caucuses. Let's talk it all over with the panel who joins me now. Stephen Miller is a senior advisor to Donald Trump. Neera Tanden is president of the Center for American Progress and a former senior advisor to Hillary Clinton. Former Ohio State Senator Nina Turner supports Bernie Sanders. And also with us today, Doug Heye, former Republican National Committee Communications Director. Stephen, I'll start with you. You're an advisor to Donald Trump. He stands by his decision to print this, to tweet this, "My wife is hotter than your wife" tweet. Do you think this is presidential?
I think it says a lot about the conscience of Washington, D.C., how many hours we've spent discussing a retweet. And it would be nice if 1/10 the outrage that has been spent and feigned indignation over this retweet had instead been spent this summer when Kate Steinle was murdered in cold blood by an illegal immigrant in San Francisco. I was working in the Senate in the time. Congress did nothing when an American citizen was murdered and died in her father's arms in cold blood. We get wrong about what we're mad about in America. We don't get mad when Americans are murdered by illegal immigrants. We don't get mad when people have their jobs taken by cheaper foreign workers here on visa programs. We don't get mad when entire cities are crushed by our trade policies that send jobs overseas. So I think
I understand why you want to change the subject, Stephen.
A big part of the Trump campaign is that people want to get mad about the right things. That's what I'm saying.
We're talking about something that your boss tweeted, and he could have tweeted something about Kate Steinle that moment, but he chose to tweet something
Nobody has brought more attention to the issue of sanctuary cities than Kate Steinle than Donald Trump.
If
you look at his Twitter account, he tweeted about Brussels all day long, and we're not talking about that.
We just did a whole segment on Brussels. Doug, let's go to you. Yeah. What was your take? I know you're not a big Trump supporter. What was your take on the "my wife is hotter than your wife" tweet?
It was a retweet of her being technical.
I'll never be a Donald Trump supporter. I think you're right. We should have paid more attention to what happens with sanctuary cities and that murder in California. But we also know this is part and parcel of how Donald Trump has run his campaign from day one. Create another outrage du jour, whether it's "my wife is hotter than your wife" or some scandal in the National Enquirer or Lindsey Graham's cell phone or Carly Fiorina's face. It's create an outrage du jour so that we do anything but talk about the fact that Donald Trump doesn't have specific answers on specific questions. The emperor doesn't have any clothes and he doesn't have any answers.
Well, let me get your take on this, Neera, because I know that Democrats think that this type of story is going to help them in November when it comes to winning over women voters. Do you think that's the case?
Well, if you look at polls today amongst women voters, Donald Trump is doing very, very poorly. A lot of women voters find him repulsive, and it's precisely because of these attacks he makes on how women look and judging their appearance, etc. It's not one tweet. It's what he's done this whole election cycle to other Republicans, including Carly Fiorina. So, I think the challenge for the Republican Party is that their debate every day is an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment to Republicans. They're embarrassed by these debates. And you see that in how many Republicans saying they're getting turned off. It's not just women. It's Democrats, independents, and Republicans who are repulsed by this is like junior high school. In fact, I'm sorry, it's below junior high school debate.
Stephen, I'll come to you in a second, but Nina, I do want to have you weigh in here. It does seem, though, in Stephen's defense and Donald Trump's defense, it does seem that no matter what he says or does that offend the likes of us around panels, tables in Washington, D.C., the voters, his supporters, don't care, and he continues to win.
And, Jake, you hit a very important point. I mean, Mr. Trump said he can go out and shoot somebody and still get elected. You know, he said that a few months ago. So that might be true. I just wish him and Senator Cruz just go ahead and duel it out and let us all out, put us all out of our misery. They just go out there and have
Hamilton and Burr style?
That's it. Just get out there and duel it out.
Go to Weehawken, New Jersey?
In terms of women, it's obvious that folks are still voting for Mr. Trump. And that is the point that it's easy to point the finger at him, and absolutely he is wrong. Senator Cruz is not much better, but folks are voting for Mr. Trump. And it's not just men. Women are voting for Mr. Trump as well. And so we're going to have to deal with that.
Stephen, you would like to be talking about sanctuary cities. You would like to be talking about immigration policy. Mr. Trump is the one who has set this table.
I think it's a choice that the political class makes in D.C. in terms of what they want to focus on. Again, if you looked at his Twitter account, he was talking at length about Brussels, about immigration, about assimilation, about the problem of radical Islam and how that relates to our immigration policies. The political class in D.C., and I've seen this, I've worked here for years, the political class in D.C. works itself up into a feigned indignation over things that don't really affect the lives of real people.
Anybody's feigning anything, to be quite frank.
I mean, for instance,
Hold on. There's nothing feigned here. I watched your interview with Kate Baldwin, and God bless her for being as tough on you as she was when you said, "Let's agree to disagree on sexism." You know what?
I didn't
Republicans,
say. Okay, so you want to get into an argument? Then we'll get into an argument. That's what you want. You want to get into an argument? Then we will get into an argument.
Stephen, just let him finish, and then I'll let you talk.
You said that you're going to talk over me.
We're not going to agree on
no,
sexism.
you interrupted me.
We're not going to agree on racism.
I did not say.
Stephen, hold on one second.
He just accused me of standing up for sexism.
Okay,
and
go
that
ahead.
is
Respond.
that is absolutely that is absolutely inappropriate, sir.
I'm not yelling
that
at
is
you.
inappropriate.
If you want to yell at me, that's fine.
I will, because you know what?
You said.
Let him finish.
You misquoted me. That is a lie.
What did you say?
I said in that interview what I'm saying right now, which is that it is a trivial issue to be debating retweets when it is a fact that you have Americans dying every single day as a result of immigration policies. That's what I was saying. You said that we don't have real solutions to problems. I just spent the other day in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, a once great American town, a thriving hub of industry. The steel industry shut down and the town is dying. You know why the steel industry shut down? Because the political class in D.C. didn't care about product dumping, didn't care about foreign cheating. Just like Americans all over this country see their communities destroyed by uncontrolled migration.
Nero.
Just like cities.
Oh my God.
Okay,
Oh my
let's-
God.
let's-
You think this is not a joke? This is.
I don't think it's a joke.
It's
When
not
we
a
talk
joke.
about, you want to talk about
No, we're
women's
talking
issues.
about- yeah.
You want to talk about women's issues? Here's something we should be talking about. This is a fact. As a result of uncontrolled migration into this country, you can look this up. It's a statistic from Equality Now. 500,000 U.S. girls in this country are at risk of female genital mutilation.
Oh my
That
God.
is a-
No,
Oh my
come on.
God.
This is
This is exactly what happens.
yes.
With
You don't
Donald
think
Trump.
that-
He says something outrageous and
That's not-
ridiculous.
I'm not
It's
saying
good.
something outrageous.
It's good. It's
You
her
don't think
staff
that
does it
statistic
too.
is correct?
No, I
You don't think that
think
statistic is correct?
a half
Let Nero-
million girls.
It is
are
a statistic.
Let
from-
Nero- let
You
Nero-
don't think? Wait, you don't. That is.
Can
a
you let Nero
statistic
finish,
Can you
please?
Equality Now.
do you mind if
Well, I
I
look to
respond?
encourage
Do you
everyone to
mind?
look
Go ahead, Nero, go ahead.
The fact is that if we actually want to fight sexism in America, I agree with Doug that the wrong way to go is Donald Trump, who judges women on their looks, who says terrible things about women in every way he could possibly do. And the reality is that the reason why he's losing women in the general electorate, the reason why independent women, young conservative women say they will never vote for Donald Trump is because of what he does every day. Not a retweet, just the things that come out of his mouth regularly.
We're going to take a very quick break. We're going to have much more. And be sure to watch Tuesday night. CNN will host all 3 Republican presidential candidates, including Mr. Trump, for a town hall live from Wisconsin. Trump, Ted Cruz, John Kasich, all taking questions from voters in the Badger State as those voters prepare to head to the polls in that crucial contest. It will be moderated by Anderson Cooper, that town hall. It's all right here on CNN Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Those candidates will face off over how to protect Americans from an ISIS attack, such as the one that devastated Europe this week. Ted Cruz called for patrolling Muslim American neighborhoods. Is he trying to win over Trump voters with his tough talk on terror? We'll talk about that next.